Hello BookTube, and hello AuthorTube. Welcome to Preptober, another Preptober video. That is the name given by the fans of NaNoWriMo to October, because NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. When we all get together, hundreds of thousands of people from around the world, and write 50,000 words of a novel in the month of November, which boils down to 1,667 words a day. And the goal of NaNoWriMo is to get that manuscript out of you, rather than have you just think about it and dream about it, to get you to actually do it. And the way to do that is to make yourself write without editing, write without the brakes on. And one of the rules of NaNoWriMo to help with that is that you can't start writing until the stroke of midnight on the 1st of November. But you can plot. You do everything else. You can prepare ahead of time. And boy, oh boy, I want to stress, no disrespect to all of you pantsers out there, but it really helps to plan. It really helps to plot out your book so that all you have left on your plate in November is the writing. The writing's hard enough. So to practice what I preach, I have been planning my NaNoWriMo novel here in the month of October. I'm doing this a little bit wryly, a little bit distantly, because many times I've been doing NaNoWriMo for many years, and many times I get right to the eve of November and scrap the plans that I made in October. But many times it didn't happen that way, and it's always good to plan. And planning fast is oftentimes no less effective than planning slow. But right now I am fairly certain what I want to write for October, a science fiction novel called Kendra Victrix, about a young woman who is stranded in our ordinary world. So she is the element of science fiction, nothing else. I haven't yet figured out how she's stranded or where she's stranded from. I have an idea in my mind of what she is like, and she's not alone. She has personal technology that is stranded with her, and that has been her constant companion, the constant companion of everyone where she is stranded from. I need to figure out all of those details. But the nice thing about Preptober is that you're, especially this early in the month, you're free to do any kind of preparing that you want to. And that is wonderful. That is part of what is so addictive about writing fiction, is the sheer intoxication of that preparation. So, yes, I don't know where Kendra comes from, and I don't know how she gets here, and I don't know what part of the goal, part of the motor of the plot of Kendra Victrix will be how to get home. And if I'm doing the novel right, that will shift to, do I want to get home? It will shift from how to get home to, do I want to get home, as she connects more with our world. And I don't know any of the details there, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay for Preptober. You don't need to know everything at once. And you don't need to set anything in stone at all. Obviously, as you can tell from the way I'm referring to this thing, I'm a big fan of working titles. I think it helps a lot more than people think to solidify that you are actually doing this in your mind, to have a working title, rather than just call it the thing. And this is a perfect example of that. The thing I've chosen to concentrate on these last couple of days is not the key elements like where Kendra comes from and how she got here and whether or not she's getting home. Instead, I'm concentrating on her personal technology, her one device to rule them all. I'm trying to think, what would that device be? How would it work? I'm going to need to know everything about it when it becomes part of the story. So at first I thought, well, what kind of a handheld device will it be? And then I thought, well, why take anything for granted? Why not rewrite the whole thing? What would it be? It doesn't have to be a handheld device. Would it even make sense that it would be? And I've gradually conceived of something different than a handheld device. I've gradually conceived of a digital tattoo, that the device is actually woven into Kendra's skin and powered by her body. The human body puts out a huge amount of watts of power every minute of every day. More than enough to power a device, especially if the device is being powered in storage batteries even when it's not being used, because the human body never stops putting out energy. It's a perfect power source for a personal device, provided that personal device isn't meant to use only that source. I imagine that in Kendra's, wherever she comes from, her home world or home dimension or whatever, that these devices connected to skin, connected to people, would also be connected to something like a communal power source or information source, something like a combination of Wi-Fi and the internet. but that it would still be able to draw power from the body anyway, even if it suddenly was cut off from that network. And it would be more than enough power to do lots of things. I was thinking, okay, what would you need that device to do? Everything. You'd need it to do everything. So let's say, for instance, something as primitive and 20th century as typing. Well, could you ask it to extrude a keyboard? Yes, you could. If it were a tattoo, like for instance on your arm, what's to stop you from telling it to make a keyboard on your arm of just the keys that you need? Maybe use your body's electromagnetic spectrum, your body's electromagnetic field, to put up a little transparent screen so you can see what you're typing. I don't know that Kendra would need to type on her personal device, but she could, absolutely. And it could do a lot of other things as well. And it could communicate with her. And if it were electronically tattooed on her, and it had an AI, it had artificial intelligence, and it wouldn't just communicate with her, it would live inside her. It would be a relationship there. So I've been having a ball the last few days just thinking out what that would be. I'm going to need to know everything about that relationship and that technology in order to write this book. And the very first starting point is, what actually is it? I think I'm okay with the idea of it being powered by Kendra's body. But then what is it? What can it and cannot do? And who is it? So that is your Preptober update for today, is that I am currently working on the technology, the piece of technology that Kendra comes here with. She's not just alone. She comes with a piece of her own technology. And that's going to be an important linchpin of the story. So I need to know everything about it. And I wanted to make this video in order to stress a couple of things to you. Number one is the joy of figuring all this stuff out. No matter what it is, no matter what you're writing, it doesn't have to be science fiction. The joy of figuring things out, of moving pieces around on a chessboard that no one else can see, just cannot be accurately described. You have to try it to feel what it's like. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And I also wanted to stress, obviously, that there's no order in which you have to think about these things. You can daydream and speculate on your dog walks or your run or dead time out on your commutes. You can speculate about any of these things in any order. The key will be that somewhere around Halloween, you will start to put them together into one mosaic where their places will make sense. But they don't have to have places now at all. Obviously, right? Because I'm thinking exclusively about what the nature of this piece of technology is. And obviously the nature of that technology will change when I start to devote time to where Kendra is from and what that society, what that world is like. That could change everything. So I'm having a ball. I'm having a blast doing it. And I want to urge all of you to join me. Not just for NaNoWriMo, but for Preptober. Dust off, think up some ideas and start working them up into a story this month, so that when the 1st of November comes, you can dive in. But we'll talk all about working these things up into stories as the month progresses. So I just wanted to give you a Preptober update. I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.